Pretty exciting occasion today. Not only are we reviewing this long-awaited piece that I was nervous about, but this is the first official review from the new office. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Xtreme channel. My name is Mr. X. Today I'm really excited because I'm doing my first official review from the new office. If you're new to the channel, this is not the normal setup. So I'm trying some new things. The audio I'm already having issues with, so I apologize if it's echoey. Is that a word? Echoey? And again, trying a few different things with the lighting and the actual display. But moving forward, all the pieces that I'm going to display at my office, we're going to review right here at the office. It saves me a little bit of a trip. And also, I'm going to be able to review a whole bunch of pieces I've never reviewed for you guys before. That combined with the fact that we're doing a statue giveaway, make sure you have liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. But today we're looking at this custom 1 of 100, not number 1, but this is 1 of 100 they made, SINDRAGOSA Ice Dragon statue. Now this piece is from Blizzard. I don't know a lot of the source content, but I can tell you a little bit about it. I bought it from a custom studio I'd never purchased from before, and their communication was god-awful. You would usually have to ask 4 or 5 times for an update, and it was usually silence. Well, of course, that makes you very nervous. And then this stuff was supposed to ship in January 2020 before Chinese New Year. And as you guys know, in 2020, the caterpillar virus hit, slowing everything down. So with almost no communication from them, I thought it was a scam and I was going to lose all my money. And then finally, they said they're going to ship it at the beginning of May. Well, eventually, a month later, they got around to shipping it, got me some tracking, and it took damn near 7 weeks to get here. Thankfully, it did come as promised, and it's a pretty decent piece. There's some cool stuff we're going to talk about in the Xtreme review. We're also going to talk about some negative stuff. Now, I purchased him because I have a dragon display actually going on here at my office. It's right over there now. I'm actually going to move it right back there. I currently have 3 dragons, plus this one, and then 2 more on order. And this looks really good next to Sideshow's Deathwing. I actually posted a picture of it on the Xtreme channel Facebook page. If you want exclusive content, go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below. And make sure you not only follow it, but hit that like button. Let's start the review with the concept of this piece. Now, even though I don't know the source material, we can definitely extrapolate some stuff from it. Damn, fancy words at the office, Mr. X. So he's perched on a rocky or mountainous terrain, and we don't know if this is somewhere that's cold in the world or that he's frozen it over with his ice breath. But you see some rock, and there's some decent texture in there we'll talk about during paint and sculpt. And as you move up, he's on a pillar or a mountain of ice. You got to assume the dragon is huge. We don't know what scale this is, as dragons don't typically come in a scale. But one of his wings, and they're bone wings, so he's kind of an undead dragon, reminds me of the Game of Thrones. So one of his bone wings is sitting down on the edge, and that's great for support. We'll talk about it during design. And he is sitting on this perch with his 4 legs or feet or whatever you want to call them. His 2 appendages in the front are very short. His ones in the back are very long. I like it's a different design. And it's holding him for stability purposes, but he's screaming out. Maybe he's shooting, some ice out of his mouth. His portrait I'm not a huge fan of, but it is decently accurate when I was doing some research on what this character looks like. And his other wing is way up in the air, so he takes up a lot of presence, and it really displays him well. I like the fact the base ties into the ice. I like the fact it's a different pose than most dragons, 1 wing down, 1 wing all the way up. He has his bony tail on the back. We didn't really take a look at that. I like the fact he's all made out of bone and it looks like his wings are ripped up. So kind of a dragon of the undead, if you will, even though that's not what he specifically is. I think conceptually it would have been cool if they added something that could fly out of his mouth, like not fire, but ice shards. That would have been neat, maybe an extra display option, so I think that was a miss. But overall, the concept's really good. I think it's a 4 out of 5 on this piece. I think they tied the character, they did something different, and it displays well. Now design, I had tons of issues with the assembly, so let's go ahead and look at that. 2 different boxes that arrived days apart from each other, and inside it was your regular custom black foam with the strap. This one, the way it was cut out, actually looked like a smiley face. Kind of funny, at least in my opinion. The second box had the dragon itself, where the first one we just looked at had just the base and the tail. So this one had some instructions, some other stuff we're going to look at. It had the body, some of the appendages, and of course a layer for each of the wings. And this is going to be important when we talk about design and repacking. And as I said, putting it together was actually extremely difficult, and I do have a little bit of history putting statues together. But here's the base. Then it was just the body. No heads, no tail, no wings, and I didn't know which direction the body went. I usually don't like to look at work in progress pictures, and this is where it really hates me. Now, they did have some instructions, and you're going to see some pictures, but the instructions were horrible. Not only were they not clear, but they weren't blurry. So it took me a lot of trial and error trying to figure out how exactly this body goes on there, because it was a long peg. I knew where it went in, but I just didn't know which direction that it faced. And then I was able to figure out, okay, one of the hind legs fits in pretty well, or does it? So I had to go back and forth a few times on that guy. So then I figured, you know what, I can put the wings in. I know where the wings go, that's pretty easy, or is it? So this one not only didn't attach the best, but you also had to set part of it on the base, so it took me a couple times trial and error to figure that out. Then I found the rear leg, but it looked like it was backwards. So I went ahead and I looked at some reference drawing and was trying to read their instructions, which, as I said, were not incredibly clear. So once again, I went for the low-hanging fruit, and to me, this figured it had to be the other wing. This will go in really easily. I know it faces up, but then it would not fit in the key, no matter what I did. And I figured, you know what, they had to have done some QC at the factory, but if they had, then there's no way this would not fit in that well. So I thought maybe I'm putting it in the wrong direction. Maybe it's not faced up. Maybe it's faced backwards. So I tried a whole bunch of different combinations with that. But in the end, what it ended up being is it just was never keyed in during QC because it clearly didn't fit. So I had to use some elbow grease and making sure not to break off one of the 1,000 of pointy things that were coming off this statue. Then process of elimination, where the remaining legs and or arms went, and of course I could figure out where the tail went and the head. However, the head didn't magnetize that well, so I wasn't entirely sure, but eventually got it all together. So here are those horrible directions. Like I said, I appreciate they put color directions in there and they tried to do it, but they should have just left them off. They were horrible. Some of the pictures so blurry it wasn't even funny. It also came with a pedestal, kind of a display stand. Here, check this out. This is really, really neat. It reminds me of those things that you see at the kiosks at the mall, and I don't really think this is needed, but it's awesome they added this, and it has a lot of weight too, so it's a good paperweight. And then for some odd reason, they added postcards. So you have some postcards as well. Who knew? Here's a picture of these. It did have a broken piece back on the spine, which is unfortunate, so check this out. This is on top of the other piece where I can't find that it broke off. I think it was smart that the base is supporting the weight of this wing. The connections aren't very solid. There's a few gaps. Here's a picture of that. So I don't have my tape measure here. I will for the future reviews, but the shelf I have him on is like 28.5 inches, and it's about an inch under that. So he's around 27, 28 inches tall, just to kind of give you an idea. And so because you're making dragons here, one thing I hate about these, you can't really put them next to non-dragon or non-dinosaur pieces, because to me it looks a little strange, but I'm okay with that. So design-wise, some good, some bad. So I think that lands right in the middle of 3 out of 5. One thing we'll talk about during value is you really can't resell this because the packaging. Well, like I said, it was packaged well. It's hard to repack. But now let's jump into the paint and sculpt. And again, there's some good things and some bad things. And moving forward at the office, I think for paint and sculpt, we'll do video reviews. It's a little bit easier than the reviews I do from the man cave. We'll go ahead and keep the voiceovers and pictures with those because people like both of them. So that'll be a way to mix it up. But let's start on this one. So let's start in with the base here. Now I call this base basic. You have the rock, you have a little bit of a snow effect, you have the ice. There's not a lot of layering on the paint. I think that's where they missed it. And some texture would have gone a long way. And even just some layering on the snow as well. They got a few different colors on the ice, which helps. And I like the placement of a lot of it. But definitely I think some missed opportunity. And most of the weight of this piece is in the base, which is smart for design. I want to look at the bone structure of the dragon. Again, a lot of the same comments, the texture and miss of layering that was on the base, I think you also find here in the bones. But overall, it doesn't look bad. One thing I do like, if you check out kind of around his rib cage, you have this different color blue, almost like a neon blue. And you know, that kind of insinuates, well, that's where the ice comes from when it shoots it out of his mouth. So I think that was smart and done well. Some good sculpt on the portrait here. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of it. Long black nails, and this is where you see all the potential pieces for breaking as well. And check out the skin. So for him to fly, they have to leave some type of skin on there. So it's kind of like ours, like ripped skin on his wings. And I like how it's kind of charred black, and it has these white flecks all over it. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. And check out his long legs that I was talking about. And in the back, we have these long appendage legs compared to the shortness of his front arms. And then the bony spiky tail does look pretty cool with the barb on the end. And they have some of that darker blue that they had around his chest and mouth on his digits or his feet and hands. So this is one of those statues, I think, when you're looking at microanalyzing it like we are now, it's good, it's not great, but as you step back, it looks better and better, especially paired with those other pieces. So here's kind of a once over more for you guys. So I think the sculpt is borderline a 4, but I'm going to go lower with the grade on a 3. Like I said, there could have been some more texture on the bones, some more texture on the base. I'm not a fan of the portrait, as I said, but it's more of a conceptual thing because it is accurate. But it's a 3 out of 5 on the sculpt for me, close to a 4 out of 5. Paint, though, looks a little amateurish. I think they chose to put the right paint in the right places, but I don't think they used the right colors and just a little bit more layering on the paint. And I'm not a master painter by any means, but that was some opportunity. So the paint is also a 3 out of 5 on this piece. So let's talk about value. $750, edition size of 100, shipping I want to say was like $200 or $300. So you're near $1,000 all in for this piece. That's a lot of money. For a statue so far that's gotten a lot of 3s, I think it's overpriced, especially, like I said, you cannot repack this and sell it. Well, you can, but I guarantee something will break. So I think that's a big negative. I don't guarantee it'll break. It's a high likelihood, especially when you think about the intricate bones and stuff we looked at. So I think the value, it's overpriced. Most dragons are $600 to $1,200 in that range, and he was damn near the top of that. So I think value-wise, you have to give this guy a 2 out of 5, unfortunately. That doesn't mean I don't like him in my collection. He looks really good. So overall, does he have the X factor? He's not a 5 out of 5 statue for sure. He does look really good with the other dragons. So by himself, he looks good. He looks very good with other dragons. So I think overall, he also deserves a 3 out of 5, which isn't a cumulative score, but what do I think of him overall? Anything lower than that are ones I regret buying. I don't regret buying this. I think because he's different and he looks so good with the other dragons, it works really well. But now's the time to throw a comment in the video. Not only does it enter you for a monthly drawing, but you could win a statue. Let me know your favorite dragon piece you've ever seen. I've reviewed 2 of the other ones I have, and then we'll put Deathwing on this table probably in the next upcoming months. But just throw that down in the comments below. But thanks for tuning in for the first official review at the office. I really appreciate it. If you haven't, hit that Mr. X logo so you'll subscribe and see the future content with all this stuff. We have an office tour coming very, very soon, probably within 10 days. And then go ahead and check out some of these other custom statues on that playlist. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.